Chapter 391, 230. Nuptial Chamber Flower Candle Night. Master, the name Shen Qinghan sounds so familiar, I feel like I know her. Luo Qingxiu slowly came back to her senses from her memories, saying somewhat bewilderedly. Upon hearing this, Yuan Dongji's expression flickered, and she said in disbelief, "What's going on? Could everything your sister disciple said be true?" "I don't know." Luo Qingxiu shook her head. She had lost too many memories from before Yuan Dongji had taken her in, most of her memories were but a blurry recollection. Yet, the name Shen Qinghan was indeed extremely familiar to her. After a moment's thought, Yuan Dongji asked, "What about the name Lin Zikan, does that sound familiar to you?" She thought that since Lin Zikan and Shen Qinghan were childhood sweethearts who were inseparable from a young age, if Luo Qingxiu knew Shen Qinghan, she must also know Lin Zikan. Lin Zikan. Luo Qingxiu murmured the name, and a vague figure began to emerge in her mind. Just like when Shen Qinghan was mentioned earlier, the figure that appeared now was also indistinct, its face unclear, with only a basic outline. But the name did ring a bell, it sounded even more familiar than Shen Qinghan's name. Luo Qingxiu looked at Yuan Dongji and said with certainty, "Master, the name Lin Zikan also sounds very familiar, slightly more so than the name Shen Qinghan." Yuan Dongji was surprised by this revelation. More familiar than her impression of her junior disciple? What exactly was the senior disciple's relationship with Lin Zikan? Did the senior disciple like Lin Zikan when she was a child? It must be so. After all, the young Lin Zikan was indeed impressive. Ever since he was a child, he was adept in both the literary and martial arts and was also good-looking, making him the absolute celebrity of the school, naturally attracting the adoration of young girls. Having seen Lin Zikan's personal file, Yuan Dongji knew how outstanding he had been from a young age, and it was no surprise he became the Prince Charming in the eyes of girls his age. She even admitted to herself that if she and Lin Zikan had been the same age, she would undoubtedly have been captivated by his charm and become his most loyal little fangirl. It's only because of the significant age gap, being almost 80 years older, and at the stage where she could be Lin Zikan's great-grandmother, that she had no feelings for Lin Zikan. If the gap were only about a decade, she surely would have wanted to experience what it was like for an older woman to dote on a younger man. After all, a woman in her 30s, unsatisfied with desires, and an energetic 18-year-old boy are truly compatible in certain aspects. She pondered these irrelevancies for a while. While stroking Luo Qingxiu's already much matured body, Yuan Dongji said, baffled, "You're obviously a native of the origin land, how could you have attended primary school on Earth?" "I can't remember anymore." Luo Qingxiu's eyes grew even more perplexed. Yuan Dongji did not probe further. She smoothed Luo Qingxiu's snow-white hair and said in a gentle voice, "Wait a while, when the two of them enter the origin land to join the alien human-level genius squad, you should make more contact with them, talk about the old days of primary school. Maybe then you can recover some of your memory." "MHM." Luo Qingxiu responded softly. Her response was somewhat perfunctory. Apart from Yuan Dongji, she didn't want to have any contact with others, she just wanted to be alone. On Earth. Lin Zikan finished checking his phone and closed his eyes for a short nap. After sleeping for about 10 minutes, he woke up. After waking up feeling quite refreshed, he got out of bed and walked towards the living room, intending to give Qi Qingmo a blood transfusion. In the past, it would have required a reminder from Qi Qingmo for Lin Zikan to do this. But now things were different. Lin Zikan wanted to hasten Qi Qingmo's return to her peak strength and to set up a defensive formation to claim territory, so he had become very proactive. As long as he felt no discomfort, he would stand by Qi Qingmo's side 24/7 if possible, allowing the Tianren Pavilion Lord to continuously draw from him. "Pavilion Master, I'm rested." Lin Zikan came before the bronze ancient coffin and said to Qi Qingmo, who was studying a beast core atop it. At his words, Qi Qingmo safely tucked away the beast core, lifted her long, slender legs onto the bronze ancient coffin, then leaned backward and lay flat upon it. Come then. Qi Qingmo slowly closed her beautiful eyes, her voice carrying a hint of ethereal quality. Lin Zikin wasted no time and immediately swallowed a bloodbath pill. Then he moved a step closer, sat down on the edge of the bronze ancient coffin, and began to transmit blood qi power directly into Qi Qingmo's chest through her loose Taoist robe. Using one hand is too inefficient, use both hands. Qi Qingmo spoke calmly. Her understanding had indeed transcended the mortal world, as she regarded the essence of living beings as the spirit, and the flesh was just an inconsequential body aperture to house the soul. She made no fuss about Lin Zikin taking advantage. Seeing that she didn't care, Lin Zikin also hesitated not to place his other hand inside the robe, each hand transmitting blood qi power directly. With both hands at work, the efficiency was greatly increased. Felling the ceaseless influx of the mighty blood qi power into her body, Qi Qingmo unconsciously revealed a look of enjoyment. It was as if after a long drought she had found sweet rain, giving her an almost ethereal sensation. Lin Zikin, seeing the look of pleasure that appeared on Qi Qingmo's face, couldn't help but feel surprised. He had always thought that Qi Qingmo had transcended the worldly and severed all emotions and desires. Neither elated by objects nor saddened by personal grief. Her only wish was to keep evolving upwards. But it seemed that this was not entirely true. Qi Qingmo still had other desires. At least her body could feel pleasure. And it wasn't just about spiritual satisfaction. I wonder if a powerful woman like the Pavilion Master, who has such commanding abilities, has ever indulged in carnal pleasures with a man. Chapter 392, 230. Nuptial Chamber Flower Candle Night _2. If there is one, how powerful must the man be to match her? If not, that's impressive, living so many years and still pure, she truly can endure loneliness. Lin Zikin was transferring qi blood to Qi Qingmo while his mind wandered to these thoughts. Time passed by each second. Not long after, Shen Qinghan, who had been sleeping in the room, came out. She rubbed her eyes in a daze, wearing a thin dress while moving weakly towards the living room in a still half-asleep manner. But she quickly became alert. She saw that both of Lin Zikin's hands were reached inside Qi Qingmo's Taoist robe, and her bright eyes instantly shot open, a sour feeling arising in her heart. It wasn't too sour, just a bit jealous. Awake. Seeing Shen Qinghan coming out from the room, Lin Zikin smiled lightly and spoke to her. Shen Qinghan walked over to the sofa near the bronze ancient coffin and sat down. With a lazy voice, she said, "Yeah, woke up." After speaking, she raised her legs and placed them on Lin Zikin's laps, playfully shaking her delicate little feet while sweetly smiling. "Lin Zi, what would you like to eat tonight? I'll cook for you." Lin Zikin thought for a moment, then said, "Fry some ferocious great eagle meat and make a spirit fruit salad." The ferocious great eagle in the exotic beasts meat hierarchy is akin to chicken in ordinary meats, typically needing to be eaten every couple of days. Anything else you want to eat? Seems like no. How about some exotic beast milk? Then let's have some exotic beast milk. After exchanging a few words, the two decided what they would eat that evening. Throughout, they never asked Qi Qingmo for her opinion. Qi Qingmo was a formidable figure who subsisted without food. She did not need to eat like them to replenish energy. She typically just absorbed blood and then lie in the coffin for hibernation. Asking her what she wanted to eat was meaningless. After more than half an hour, Shen Qinghan had fried the ferocious great eagle meat, cut up a plate of spirit fruit, and brought it over to sit next to Lin Zikin, feeding him and then herself in a very loving manner. It wasn't intentional that she was showing affection in front of Qi Qingmo, it was because Lin Zikin's hands were occupied, and he couldn't use his spiritual power arbitrarily, so she chose to feed Lin Zikin. They happily finished a simple dinner. Shen Qinghan took the dishes to the kitchen to clean them, then returned and sat on a nearby sofa, focusing on striking her acupoints, trying to enhance her own strength. After striking continuously for 3 hours, Shen Qinghan got tired and had to stop to rest. She glanced at Lin Zikin next to her, his hands still tightly pressed against Qi Qingmo's chest, continuously transferring the blood qi power. This transfer would last at least 10 hours at the start. It really was torturous. Whether Lin Zikin felt it was torturous or not, Shen Qinghan didn't know. But Shen Qinghan knew she found it torturous. In the past at this time, Lin Zikin would already have been close with her in their room. But because Lin Zikin had to complete his transfusion work, she could only entertain herself or bury herself in rigorous training on the side, which was somewhat hard to bear. Pavilion Master, can I also try transferring qi blood to you? Shen Qinghan had been watching Lin Zikin transfer blood when she suddenly spoke up to ask Qi Qingmo. It wasn't to share the burden with Lin Zikin. Instead, she purely wanted to touch Qi Qingmo's body, to see what it felt like. Qi Qingmo didn't value the blood qi power in Shen Qinghan's body, but seeing that she really wanted to try, she opened her red lips and said lightly, "Since you want to try, come and give it a go." Shen Qinghan had prepared herself for rejection. Upon hearing that Qi Qingmo actually agreed, her pretty face instantly showed surprise. After snapping back to reality a moment later, she immediately got up and walked toward the bronze ancient coffin, sitting down on the opposite edge from Lin Zikin, her face eager as she raised her right hand. Seeing this, Lin Zikin silently pulled his left hand out of the Taoist robe, making room for her to experience the touch of the Pavilion Master's body. Not easy, ah! Finally, I can touch the Pavilion Master's body. Not even sure what it feels like. With some anticipation, Shen Qinghan excitedly reached her hand into the Taoist robe, following Lin Zikin's method by placing her hand firmly on Qi Qingmo's chest. The next second, a full sensation surged into her palm, making her inwardly marvel at how substantial Qi Qingmo's assets were, definitely something that would make every man in the world fall head over heels. Quickly release your blood qi power. Seeing that Shen Qinghan had placed her hand there for so long without any response, Qi Qingmo couldn't help but urge her aloud. Hearing this reminder, Shen Qinghan hastily began to release her blood qi power, a bit awkwardly. At the moment the blood qi power surged out, Shen Qinghan immediately felt the blood qi power in her body rapidly depleting, as if a tube had been inserted into her body, and blood was sizzling out. In just a few short seconds, she began to feel overwhelmed. Feeling as if her body had been hollowed out, her legs went weak, and her vision darkened. Her whole body swayed, ready to fall off the bronze ancient coffin. Stop pushing yourself if you can't handle it, pull your hand back quick. Qi Qingmo said with a chilly voice. Shen Qinghan's qi blood strength was so weak that she started to faint after just a few seconds of being drained. Qi Qingmo worried that if he continued draining her, this delicate girl might drop dead on the spot. Of course, the main issue was that the quality of Shen Qinghan's blood qi power was too low, which made him, with his robust physique, feel as if he had gained nothing from the drain. He simply lost interest in continuing. Now, he just wanted to quickly switch back to Lin Zikin to use both hands to drain Lin Zikin's blood qi power. I'm sorry, Pavilion Master, my qi blood strength is really too weak. Shen Qinghan pulled her hand back, her voice faint as she spoke. She looked like a child who had done something wrong, her head hung low in meekness, fearing a scolding from a parent. Qi Qingmo said lightly, your strength lies in your spiritual power, there's no need to be disheartened just because your qi blood is weak. Lin Zikin also voiced his comfort, the Pavilion Master is right, your strength lies in your spiritual power. Just focus on enhancing that aspect, there's no need to overly stress about blood qi power. After saying this, he silently reached into Qi Qingmo's Taoist robe and resumed using both hands to transfer blood qi power to Qi Qingmo. Shen Qinghan was not really disheartened. The reason she had been so meekly lowering her head was purely because she felt she had not performed well and was afraid of being scolded by Qi Qingmo. Fortunately, Qi Qingmo's temperament was much better than she had imagined. He was not like a killer who, at the slightest disagreement, would start a massacre and refine a whole horde of beasts. Time flew by. In no time, it was 11 p.m. Only then did Lin Zikin finally finish the blood transfusion job, somewhat tired, and went to lie down on the bed with Shen Qinghan for a rest. As for Qi Qingmo, he lay down in the bronze ancient coffin to rest. Thinking about continuing to drain Lin Zikin's blood tomorrow morning, preparing to unleash a great slaughter in the origin land after some time. In the room, Lin Zikin and Shen Qinghan had stripped off their clothes, naked under the covers, indulging in the experience of sleeping nude. Ever since they first tried it, both had become thoroughly enamored with this liberating way of sleeping. It was both comfortable and healthy, truly the best of both worlds. Lindsay, I feel like the world is becoming more and more dangerous, not as safe as it used to be when we were kids. Shen Qinghan said, worriedly, as she gently massaged Lin Zikin's body with her soft, warm hand. Lin Zikin, massaging her in turn, said in a gentle voice, it's true that the environment isn't as safe as it was when we were kids. But correspondingly, our biological level has also risen a lot, so there's no need to worry too much. Most importantly, we have the Pavilion Master to rely on, he can protect us. Lin Zikin had great faith in Qi Qingmo's strength, feeling that as long as he was present, both he and Shen Qinghan would be secure. Shen Qinghan was not as optimistic as Lin Zikin. She pursed her lips and said, I still think it's too dangerous, you never know when you might lose your life all of a sudden. Lin Zikin replied, don't worry about disasters that haven't happened, we both are tough to kill. But what if? As Shen Qinghan spoke, she withdrew her hand from under the covers and gently caressed Lin Zikin's face, saying, Lindsay, I want to do everything I should do before I die. She said she wanted to do everything she should do before she died. Lin Zikin understood her meaning to make love. Describe Lin Zikin's state of mind. Excited. In such a scenario, he had imagined countless times in his mind, but being in the moment, his emotions were truly intense. So, he pulled out a natural latex ultra-thin XX condom. Shen Qinghan, it's my first time, I don't want to use this. What if you get pregnant? It's not that easy. But what if? If it happens, then we keep it. Fine, then we won't use it. P.S. Please give a monthly pass and recommendation ticket. Chapter 393, 231, Once pregnant, give birth. Doing what husband and wife should do. Hearing these words, Lin Zikin's calm mind rippled with emotion. Then he felt his body growing warm. The qi blood within him surged ceaselessly. Imagining doing the things in bed that husband and wife loved doing with Shen Qinghan, he had fantasized about it countless times in his head. But he had never taken action, intending to wait until they were officially married to do it. Now that Shen Qinghan had brought it up, the desire he had repressed deep in his heart could no longer be contained. Both mentally and physically, he couldn't wait any longer. Do it! Shen Qinghan's peach blossom eyes brimmed with spring, the desire in them growing ever deeper. She had been waiting for this day for a long time, always hoping that Lin Zikin would be the one to initiate. Since Lin Zikin had made no move, she had to take the initiative herself. Although it might seem a bit unreserved for a girl to initiate such matters, Shen Qinghan simply couldn't wait any longer. Every day, sleeping naked together. Every day, bathing together without a thread on. In such an environment, full of tempting and distracting thoughts, Shen Qinghan's desire had already peaked, and she urgently needed to take things further with Lin Zikin. Lin Zikin looked down at Shen Qinghan before him, his eyes carefully scanning her graceful and voluptuous body. Her skin was delicate and fair, smooth and soft. Both her upper and lower halves had curves where they should, and they were well above average, entering a realm of sexiness that was irresistible. Having such a tempting childhood sweetheart by my side, I don't know how I've managed to restrain myself all these years from devouring you. Lin Zikin thought to himself, and the more he thought about it, the more he admired his own restraint. Seeing he hadn't said anything, Shen Qinghan thought he didn't want to do it, and her mood immediately fell, as she said. Lindsay, don't you want to? Who says I don't want to? Lin Zikan pulled Shen Qinghan into his arms, almost speaking into her mouth. I originally planned to take the last step with you after we got married and had our marriage license. But tonight, since you took the initiative, I've decided to take that last step with you tonight. Not waiting until we get married. Having said that, Lin Zikan kissed Shen Qinghan's cherry lips, feeling the warmth and softness of her lips. Shen Qinghan's body trembled slightly, and her feet uncontrollably tensed up. After a moment to adjust, she reached up, wrapped her hands around Lin Zikan's neck, and actively returned his kiss. They kissed tightly for more than 10 minutes. Finally, reluctantly, they parted. Lin Zikan raised his hand towards the nightstand, used telekinesis to open the drawer, and pulled out a box of natural latex ultra-thin XX that had been sitting there for almost a year. It was a gift from Zhang Wangzhen on the day they reported for college last year. Unfortunately, although their relationship was profound, they had not yet taken the final step of physical intimacy. As a result, the box of natural latex ultra-thin XX, until now, was still intact, with not a single one missing. SSSSHHH. Lin Zikan tore open the packaging box and took out a small sachet that looked like a milk tea mixture. Just as he was about to tear open the small sachet, Shen Qinghan pursed her moist lips, her voice soft. Tonight is our first time, I don't want to use that. Hearing this, Lin Zikan stopped tearing the sachet open, looked into Shen Qinghan's eyes, and asked. What if you get pregnant? It's not that easy to get pregnant. What if it happens? If it happens, then we'll have the baby, Shen Qinghan stated firmly. As she said this, her face was utterly serious, without a hint of joking. Lin Zikan fell silent for a moment after hearing this. After thinking it over, he finally chose to put the sachet back in the box and calmly said. I'll listen to you, we won't use it this first time. Seeing Lin Zikan put the sachet back in the box, Shen Qinghan spoke softly, you do it, I don't really know much about this. She, who had watched countless films, actually understood these matters quite well. But she didn't want to take the initiative, since she wanted Lin Zikan to lead. She had already taken the initiative in suggesting it, now it was Lin Zikan's turn to act. Lin Zikan hummed in agreement, and quickly began to take the lead, ready to take the final step with Shen Qinghan, who had accompanied him for 19 years, aiming to achieve consummation. The next morning, the sky was just turning pale with dawn. Lin Zikan had slept for less than 4 hours, but the moment he sensed the faint light from outside the window, he automatically opened his eyes and woke up. After waking up, he didn't close his eyes to continue sleeping. Instead, he got out of bed and dressed cautiously, planning to go to the living room to give Qi Qingmo a blood transfusion. Before heading to the living room, Lin Zikan glanced at Shen Qinghan, still curled up asleep in bed, and a tender smile of indulgence appeared in his eyes. Before last night, he liked Shen Qinghan very much. After last night, he liked her even more. He had often heard it said that fully possessing one's partner can lead to deeper affection for them. Previously he didn't quite understand this sentiment, but after experiencing last night's possession, he finally understood it. I just hope it's not too passionate, it's still too early for a child. Lin Zikan murmured quietly to himself, then he made sure Shen Qinghan was covered properly with the blanket, turned up the air conditioning a few degrees, and then left the room quietly. In the living room, Qi Qingmo sat on the bronze ancient coffin, studying a beast core in her hands intently. Seeing Lin Zikan come out, she lifted her calm, lake-like eyes towards him and asked in a gentle voice, after tossing and turning so much last night, do you still have the energy to give me a blood transfusion? What Lin Zikan and Shen Qinghan had been up to in their room last night, she knew quite clearly. Chapter 394, 231. If you are pregnant, give birth to _2. It wasn't that she deliberately spied, it's just that the noise made by those two last night was a bit too much, she couldn't help but know. Linziken sat down at the edge of the bronze ancient coffin and said, I just slept a little less, it won't affect the blood transfusion. Being a high-level 5th order creature, he didn't have much need for sleep. As long as he could close his eyes and sleep for a bit, he could be energetic all day. If it doesn't affect it, then start the blood transfusion now. Qi King Mo said, put away the beast core in her hand with a thought, then lay back, enticingly sprawled atop the bronze ancient coffin. Seeing that Qi King Mo was ready, Linziken skillfully placed both hands under his Taoist robe, pressing them against Qi King Mo's chest and began releasing the blood qi power. In the past, his heart would remain calm during the blood transfusion, devoid of any impure thoughts. But having had a taste last night, his mind was still filled with all sorts of inappropriate images even now. The moment he had too intimate physical contact with Qi King Mo, the female protagonist of those inappropriate images uncontrollably changed to Qi King Mo in his mind. No, it's not right, my heart is in turmoil, all I can think about is the pavilion master's body. Linziken thought with great difficulty, his aura slightly disturbed, which then affected the efficiency of the blood transfusion. Noticing his peculiarity, Qi King Mo bluntly asked, craving my body, are you? Linziken shook his head in denial, not at all. Qi King Mo, little guy, often it's better to admit freely than to deny stubbornly. Having lived so long, she had seen too many men who craved her body. Whether Linziken craved her body or not, she could tell at a glance, and no amount of denial could change that. However, Linziken denied it. Retorting logically, Pavilion Master, I was indeed thinking about your body in my mind just now, but that's an irresistible force, a biological instinct, I actually dare not harbor any inappropriate thoughts towards you. Qi King Mo rarely smiled, if you're already thinking about my body, doesn't that count as craving? Linziken, it's fundamentally different. Qi King Mo lightly said, the body is an insignificant body aperture, no matter how pleasurable, it doesn't amount to much. Only pleasure of the spirit can be truly satisfying. Once your spiritual power grows stronger, you will understand the meaning of my words. Pleasure of the spirit is the real pleasure? Linziken didn't understand and couldn't imagine how pleasurable that could be. He thought that the deep exchanges he had with Shen Qinghan in bed were already pleasurable enough, he dared not hope for more. By the way, Pavilion Master, I have a question to ask you. Linziken suddenly remembered something he wanted to ask Qi King Mo. Qi King Mo, what is it? Linziken, during the previous attack on the city center by the divine plant cult using a pack of beasts, a 9-tailed fox demon used a charm technique on me, saying that over time I would only have eyes for her, unable to accommodate any other women. I'm somewhat concerned about this. Let me see. Qi King Mo said as she opened her eyes and scrutinized Linziken's body closely, peering inside to see if there was an issue. After a thorough examination, Qi King Mo stated, there is a slight issue, an emotion mark was planted inside your divine sense, but I've already dealt with it for you, it's fine now. There indeed was something wrong, that Sujuja wasn't just scaring me. Linziken felt a surge of relief, thankful that he took it seriously and consulted Qi King Mo, otherwise the consequences would have been unimaginable. Over the next while, the two of them chatted sporadically. Before they knew it, 2 hours had passed. Shen Qinghan, who had been sleeping in the room, had now woken up. With sleepy eyes, she walked out of the room, greeted them with a good morning, then sat down on the sofa beside the bronze ancient coffin. Walking over, her gait showed no discomfort at all, it was impossible to tell she had been put through quite an ordeal by Linziken in the room last night. After all, she was no longer merely human, but a high-level creature with a powerful physical body, especially with the genes of living dead slugs inside her, minor injuries below were nothing. With just a blink of an eye, she was almost healed. Lindsay, have you had breakfast yet? Shen Qinghan leaned her right hand on the armrest of the sofa, resting her chin in her palm as she looked at Lin Zikan. Lin Zikan, not yet. Shen Qinghan rubbed her eyes, her voice still slightly lazy. What do you want to eat? I'll go make something for you now. Lin Zikan, anything is fine, I'll eat whatever you make. After thinking for a moment, Shen Qinghan asked, how about boiling some living dead slugs porridge? Lin Zikan, that sounds good. After deciding what to have for breakfast, Shen Qinghan quickly went to the washroom to freshen up, then headed to the refrigerator, took out the ingredients for the living dead slugs porridge, and leisurely walked into the kitchen. About half an hour later, the porridge was ready. Shen Qinghan, as always, served a bowl of porridge in the living room. First feeding Lin Zikan a spoonful, then taking one herself, looking very loving. Meanwhile, Qi Qingmo, lying on the bronze ancient coffin, was as calm as ever, feeling no disturbance in her heart, and not at all like she was being fed dog food. In the blink of an eye, afternoon arrived. After completing the blood transfusion work, Lin Zikan and Shen Qinghan went back to their room to rest. No sooner had they lain down on the bed than Shen Qinghan couldn't help using her tender little foot to hook Lin Zikan's leg and asked in a sweet voice, Lin Zi, do you want to continue like last night? Lin Zikan responded, we just did it last night, doesn't it hurt down there? Shen Qinghan shook her head, it doesn't hurt much, just feels a bit numb, it's no bother. Hearing her say this, Lin Zikan didn't hold back anymore and began to have a deep conversation with her, further fostering their affection for each other. This conversation lasted for a full 3 hours, and it was getting dark outside the window. After finishing, Lin Zikan lay in bed for a short nap to gather strength and energy, and after waking up, he headed to the living room to give Qi Qingmo a blood transfusion. However, when he arrived in the living room, he found that Qi Qingmo was not there. She was neither lying in the bronze ancient coffin resting nor sitting in it studying the beast core. Curious, where has the pavilion lord gone? Seeing that Qi Qingmo was not there, Lin Zikan felt puzzled. Shen Qinghan speculated, the pavilion lord might feel that staying in the dormitory all the time is too stifling and went out for some fresh air. Lin Zikan felt it was unlikely, but he didn't dwell on it too much. It was quite normal for Qi Qingmo, being so powerful, to come and go without a trace. It was best just to stay calm about it. At the same time, above the high skies of Shanghai City, a man and a woman, 100 meters apart, hovered face to face in the sky filled with clouds. The man was Vice Governor Ye Yongsheng. The woman was Tianren Pavilion Lord, Qi Qingmo. While sizing up Qi Qingmo, Ye Yongsheng asked calmly, the beast herds from the origin land and those on earth, did you handle them? With an expressionless face, Qi Qingmo said, what if I did, what if I didn't? May I ask, fellow Daoist, what is your identity? Seeing Qi Qingmo wearing a Taoist robe, Ye Yongsheng referred to her as fellow Daoist. Qi Qingmo casually replied, Tianren Pavilion Lord. Tianren Pavilion Lord. Ye Yongsheng raised an eyebrow, surprised that the person before him was the founder of the blood tempering technique. No, the founding mother. Soon. Ye Yongsheng invited Qi Qingmo, I wonder if the Pavilion Lord could accompany me to the capital city for a cup of spiritual tea to discuss some mutual doubts. His doubts referred to his curiosity about Qi Qingmo. He wanted to understand what kind of being she really was and why her power was so formidable. Qi Qingmo didn't rush to answer but asked a question instead, what do you know about Origin Force? Are you referring to the Origin Force inside the Beast Core? Yes. In this world, there aren't more than 10 people who understand Origin Force better than I do. Ye Yongsheng said confidently. Qi Qingmo replied, then let's go to the capital city for tea. P.S. Please, I need monthly pass recommendations. Chapter 395, 232, Unparalleled Genius. Lin Ziying. Since the pavilion master isn't here, let's go back to our room and continue, we can wait for the pavilion master while doing it. In the living room, Shen Qinghan hesitated for a moment, her pretty face blushed slightly as she suggested. Hearing this suggestion, Lin Zikin was also shocked. Naughty girl indeed, the name really wasn't called wrong. She had just tasted it and was already addicted, her mind full of this matter. Is it okay? Seeing that Lin Zikin didn't immediately respond, Shen Qinghan clung to his arm and shook it while cooing softly. Lin Zikin, wouldn't doing this too frequently be bad for the body? Shen Qinghan disagreed, we are high-level creatures now, our bodies are impervious to swords and spears, just a little friction, how could it possibly be bad for us? Upon hearing this, Lin Zikin thought it made sense. Right, they were high-level creatures whose bodies couldn't be harmed by weapons, and they had living dead slugs genes that could repair body damage indefinitely. Just a mere friction couldn't harm them. Let alone just frequently, even continuously for several days, it probably wouldn't cause any harm. This was one of the benefits brought by evolution. The statement excess of sensuality harms the body, when applied to evolvers, was a false proposition. Let's go back to our room and continue. No matter whether Lin Zikin wanted to do it or not, Shen Qinghan pulled him towards their room. She thought, since she had served him in bed for so long before, now it was his turn to pay back. Marital life, healthy only when there's give and take. In the room. On the bed. Right after they had enhanced their relationship, they both lay flat on the bed, breathing lightly. While catching her breath, Shen Qinghan suddenly thought of something and said with some worry. Lin Zi, you said the pavilion master is so powerful, what if she sees everything we do in our room in the future? High-level creatures with sufficient spiritual power can perceive through any obstacle with their senses. Shen Qinghan thought, given Qi Qingmo's unfathomable strength, her spiritual power must be strong too. Whatever she and Lin Zikin do in their room, probably won't escape Qi Qingmo's sensory perception. This kind of life under someone else's observation felt very uncomfortable. Lin Zikin responded lightly, the pavilion master could do it if she wanted, but she isn't that idle. He thought, with Qi Qingmo's emotionally detached nature, she'd hardly bother to spy on others deepening their relationship. For the Tianren pavilion lord, she would rather spend time lying in the bronze ancient coffin resting or studying the origin force in a beast core than spying. Just as he pondered about Qi Qingmo like this. In the living room, Qi Qingmo's voice suddenly rang out, sorry, I really am that idle. Hearing this, Lin Zikin and Shen Qinghan in the room were momentarily stunned. After a moment of realization, Lin Zikin's face was speechless, while Shen Qinghan's face turned completely red. The mighty Tianren pavilion lord, actually enjoys spying on others enhancing their relationship in the room? Could it be any more outrageous? After calming his emotions a bit, Lin Zikin got out of bed and walked towards the living room, where he saw Qi Qingmo sitting on the bronze ancient coffin, earnestly studying the beast core in her hand. Shen Qinghan did not follow him out. Qi Qingmo's words just then directly embarrassed Shen Qinghan, making her feel extremely awkward, and she couldn't face Qi Qingmo, the voyeuristic maniac, for a while. Pavilion master, when did you come back? Lin Zikin asked. Qi Qingmo didn't even lift her head, her gaze constantly on the beast core, and spoke lightly, I've been back for a while, seeing you too busy in the room, I didn't disturb you. After speaking, she put away the beast core she was holding, raised her eyes to look at Lin Zikin, and said, give me a blood transfusion. Okay. Lin Zikin agreed. Soon, Qi Qingmo was lying flat on the bronze ancient coffin, and Lin Zikin then placed his hands inside her Taoist robe, pressing against her chest to give her a blood transfusion. By the way, Pavilion Master, where had you gone just now? Lin Zikin asked curiously. After many blood transfusion contacts, he felt he had become much more familiar with Qi Qingmo. It wasn't as distant as before. He could ask whatever he wanted to ask at any time. While absorbing his chi blood, Qi Qingmo replied, "A vice-governor named Ye Yongsheng came looking for me, saying he wanted to have a chat. I also had some questions to ask, so I went to talk with him." Ye Yongsheng. Hearing this name made Lin Zikin's mind fluctuate a bit. Ye Yongsheng had said before that he would ensure the safety of Lin Zikin and his family, but it turned out to be just empty talk with no actual arrangements. About this matter, Lin Zikin still remembered and would eventually confront Ye Yongsheng. It wasn't that he was petty and insisted on revenge. But Ye Yongsheng's actions had directly put him and his family in danger, and this was something that couldn't be overlooked. Whoever overlooks it gets struck by lightning. Lin Zikin then asked, "Pavilion Master, what exactly did you talk about with Vice-Governor Ye?" Qi Qingmo answered, "Not much, he was understanding my identity, and I was learning about Origin Force and Origin Land from him." "I see." Lin Zikin nodded, didn't ask further, and focused on giving Qi Qingmo a blood transfusion. In the days that followed, Lin Zikin was mostly staying in the dormitory giving Qi Qingmo blood transfusions. Twice a day, one in the morning and one in the evening. Preparing Qi Qingmo for her next entry into the Origin Land. During this period, Shen Qinghan tried several times to enhance the relationship with Lin Zikin, but due to Qi Qingmo being inside the room, she was afraid of being spied on by Qi Qingmo, so she had to hold back. And so the days just kept passing by. Chapter 396, 232, Unparalleled Genius. Lin Ziying, _2. Half a month later. Qi Qingmo felt that his qi blood levels had almost built up to the amount he wanted, so after simply bidding farewell to the other two, he left the dormitory to re-enter the Origin Land in search of a way forward. Before entering the Origin Land, Qi Qingmo paid a visit to the Pure Human Research Institute and handed over some lower-quality blood bath pills to Lu Juanwu. He said to consider it a resource of the pavilion and instructed Lu Juanwu to develop a good reward system for proper allocation. Although Lu Juanwu and the others couldn't provide the kind of help to Qi Qingmo that Lin Zikin could, Qi Qingmo felt that since these people were part of his own lineage, it was still necessary to provide them with some resources. Back in the dormitory. No sooner had Qi Qingmo walked out the door than Shen Qinghan joyfully wrapped her arm around Lin Zikin's and said, "Lin Zi, the pavilion master has finally entered the Origin Land, he'll be gone for at least a few days. For the next few days, we can do whatever we want, wherever we want, as many times as we want. We won't have to worry about being spied upon anymore." After saying that, Shen Qinghan eagerly pulled Lin Zikin towards their room, impatient to deepen their intimacy. Over the past half-month, worried about being spied on by Qi Qingmo, Shen Qinghan hadn't dared to develop intimacy with Lin Zikin. She'd been almost bursting, and now she needed to release that pent-up tension. To this Lin Zikin replied with a wry smile, "Why do you have such a strong urge?" "Of course, because it feels good," Shen Qinghan responded frankly and immediately followed up with, "Don't you feel good?" Lin Zikin replied honestly, "Well, of course, it feels good." Shen Qinghan said, "There you go, it feels good for me, it feels good for you, and it doesn't harm our bodies, so isn't it normal for me to have a strong desire?" Lin Zikin nodded his agreement, "That's true, it would be abnormal not to." "All right, enough talk, get undressed and get on the bed. I've been holding back for half a month, I feel like I'm gonna explode," Shen Qinghan urged. As Lin Zikin was taking off his clothes, he laughed and said, "Actually, you don't have to hold back. We could do it anytime, there's no need to wait for the pavilion master to be away." "But we can't, the pavilion master might spy on us." "Not likely, I feel like the pavilion master was just teasing us that day." "But what if what the pavilion master said was true?" "Even if it was true, being spied on by the pavilion master won't do any harm. After all, we've both touched her. No way, it's too uncomfortable to be watched while doing that." Shen Qinghan just couldn't accept being spied upon. Actually, Lin Zikin couldn't either. But if it was Qi King Mo who was spying, he felt it might be okay. There were 3 reasons for this. First, Qi King Mo was a woman. Second, Qi King Mo had no sexual feelings, so being spied on by her felt no different than being spied on by a mosquito. Third, he almost touched Qi King Mo's body every day, and when he did, it was for hours at a time. Since he had already taken advantage of her, it seemed to him that letting her have a peep didn't put him at much of a loss. Lin Ziyi, let's not talk about the pavilion master anymore. Let's get on with the real business, Shen Qinghan urged in a soft, enticing voice. Hearing her tempting voice, Lin Zikan couldn't control himself and quickly became entangled with her. In the blink of an eye, 10 days had passed. Qi King Mo had yet to return. He was still in the origin land, refining exotic beasts and collecting beast cores. While she was away, Lin Zikan and Shen Qinghan had been intimate from morning till night, experimenting with all sorts of new things. One morning, after Lin Zikan had finished breakfast and had just made love with Shen Qinghan beside the dining table, his phone on the table started vibrating. He picked it up and saw a message from Song Yuan on WeChat. Yuan sister, little brother Zi Chen, your sister Yuan has finally succeeded in opening apertures. I've advanced to a high-level first-order creature. Zi Chen, congratulations, sister Yuan. Yuan sister. You and Han Han haven't come to the institute for days. When will you come over to give us some guidance, including the director and Wai Wei? Zi Chen, I'll come over after lunch. Yuan sister, your sister Yuan is waiting for you 2 top geniuses to come over. Zi Chen, definitely. After replying to this message, Lin Zikan closed the chat with Song Yuan. Shen Qinghan, who had just cleaned herself and tossed the tissue into the trash, saw Lin Zikan chatting on WeChat and asked curiously, who was that, Lin Ziyi? Lin Zikan casually said, Sister Yuan just shared on WeChat that she successfully opened her apertures, her biological level has evolved to high-level first order. She wants us to come over to guide her, the director, and Ma Ziwei. Shen Qinghan pouted after hearing that. Yuan actually came looking for you instead of me, that's so unfair. Lin Zikan laughed, we're together all the time, finding either of us is the same, Yuan isn't overthinking it like you are. The two just chatted for a bit and soon stopped. They then sat cross-legged on the balcony, quietly focusing on assaulting their acupoints. 3 hours later, Lin Zikan and Shen Qinghan finished lunch and headed out together to the Pure Human Research Institute. As soon as they stepped into the institute's main gate, they heard Lu Juanmu's excited shout, Haha, old man, I have also successfully opened my acupoints, I've become a high-level creature. Walking in a little further, they saw a sweat-soaked Lu Juanmu standing by the window catching his breath, his face full of excitement. Little Dongji, when I was just an ordinary 9th order, I could make you beg for more. Now that I've evolved straight to high-level 2nd order, watch me make you beg for mercy. Lu Juanmu stood with his hands on his hips, looking triumphant. Shen Qinghan, who had just entered, couldn't help but blush slightly upon hearing this. Inside, Ma Ziwei's expression remained unchanged. Even further inside, Song Yuan rolled her eyes at Lu Juanmu and complained, Director, can you watch your language, please? There are many girls here in the institute. Lu Juanmu had a sheepish grin, sorry, I got carried away with excitement. I'll definitely be more careful in the future. No sooner had he said this than he saw Lin Zikan and Shen Qinghan enter, and a bright smile spread across his face. The peerless pair has arrived, come on, come over and share some of your experiences with us 3. His tone wasn't sarcastic but genuinely admiring. Upon hearing this, Lin Zikan and Shen Qinghan went to share their experiences. Lu Juanmu and Song Yuan weren't really listening. Having just evolved into high-level creatures, their minds were filled with joy, and they weren't attentive to anything else. Meanwhile, Ma Ziwei, who had not started opening her acupoints yet, listened extremely earnestly. Lin Zikan glanced at Ma Ziwei and used his danger perception to inspect her physical body. Compared to when she first joined Tianren Pavilion, she had made significant progress. Her body refining progress had reached the completion of the first tempering skin and the first tempering flesh, now in the final stage of bone tempering, and her biological level had also evolved to ordinary 8th order. Ziwei, you've made great progress, well done. Lin Zikan praised Ma Ziwei with a smile. Ma Ziwei felt a touch of joy in her heart upon hearing this but remained calm, saying, "Thank you." Afterwards, she added, "It's also thanks to the Pavilion Master's bloodbath pills that I've been able to progress so quickly, otherwise I'd probably still be at the first tempering skin." Lin Zikan, the Pavilion Master really has been good to us. After spending the afternoon at the institute and feeling it was about time, Lin Zikan and Shen Qinghan said they would see the others tomorrow and left the institute. After leaving the institute, they did not go back to the dorm but went to the family building in the off-campus area to visit their parents. When they arrived, Shen Jianyi and Su Meng were about to attend evening classes and were not at home. So Shen Qinghan followed Lin Zikan to his home. "Han Han, your little face looks rosy and even prettier," Zhang Wangzhen greeted her with a beaming smile as soon as Shen Qinghan entered the house. Just after she spoke, Zhang Wangzhen suddenly let out a pained ah and clutched her stomach. Lin Zikan quickly came forward to support Zhang Wangzhen and asked with concern, "Mom, what's wrong?" "It's nothing, just your little sister being naughty, giving me a strong kick." "Sister?" Lin Zikan asked, puzzled. Zhang Wangzhen smiled, "Yes, sister." In this world, knowing whether the baby is a boy or girl wasn't a secret, doctors would proactively inform the expectant mother. Zhang Wangzhen said, "Come on, touch mom's belly and feel your sister's vitality." After touching it, I could feel the strength. Always kicking. Shen Qinghan also touched it, "Sister is so impressive." Zhang Wangzhen said with a smile, "The little cotton-padded jacket will surely be a genius like her brother." "Aunt Xin, have you thought of a name for my sister yet?" "I've thought of several, but haven't settled on one yet." In the end, Lin Ziying is decided upon. P.S. Bowing down, begging for monthly passes and recommendation tickets. Chapter 397, 233. Enter the Yuan land. Join the alien human-level genius squad. Ever since suspecting that his younger sister might be trouble, Lin Zikan spent most of the following days at home with his parents, wanting to study the sister in Zhang Wangzhen's belly. Whenever Zhang Wangzhen cried out in pain, he would immediately disperse his spiritual power to sense the sister in her belly, checking if the sister was kicking her legs. He observed this for several days. He discovered that the sister wasn't always kicking. Sometimes she would wave her hands. Sometimes she would pinch her own feet. Sometimes she would suck on her fingers. The behavior had no discernible pattern. It didn't seem like she had awakened a system possessing any leg-kicking achievements. Instead, she appeared to be a prematurely active fetus. "Your sister is moving around again, she's so lively." On the sofa, Zhang Wangzhen gently caressed her belly, smiling tenderly as she spoke. Now over 40, she was eager to have a baby, especially a daughter. The daughter growing in her now, 7 months in the making, was the best gift she had received in years, without a doubt. Seeing his sister moving again, Lin Zikan immediately dispersed his spiritual power to observe. Then, he saw his sister in the belly assuming a crow riding an airplane posture, grabbing her feet with each hand, which looked quite amusing. "I hope my sister is not any transmigrator or reincarnate, but a new life born from mom's womb." Lin Zikan hoped silently in his heart. If his sister turned out to be a transmigrator or reincarnator, he would find it very strange and not know how to interact with her. "Lin Ziyi, the master has returned, he's over at the institute now, asking us to come over." Shen Qinghan ran over from next door to inform him. "Principal Yuan came back?" Thinking, Lin Zikan said, "Okay, let's head over now." Zhang Wangzhen checked her phone, looking at the two heading for the institute. It's already 4 p.m. now. Will you come back for dinner tonight? We probably won't make it back in time for dinner, Mom, don't wait up for us. After dropping these words, Lin Zikan went out with Shen Qinghan towards the institute. Yuan Dongji must have experienced a lot, having stayed in the origin land this long. Lin Zikan was very interested in her experiences and eager to learn more. Pure Human Research Institute. When Lin Zikan and Shen Qinghan arrived, only Song Yuan and Ma Ziwei were in the living area, neither Lu Juanwu nor Yuan Dongji in sight. Not seeing them, Shen Qinghan curiously asked, "Where are the master and the principal?" Song Yuan replied irritably, "Principal Yuan just came not long ago and was immediately dragged into a room upstairs by that nasty old man, claiming something about showing off his prowess to impress Principal Yuan." "I see." Shen Qinghan nodded, her cheeks slightly flushed. Ever since having a somewhat physical relationship with Lin Zikan a while ago, she had become sensitive to matters between men and women, her mind filling with various provocative images whenever she heard related words. After about 10 minutes or so, Lu Juanwu and Yuan Dongji came down from the room upstairs. Yuan Dongji had a glowing face. Lu Juanwu staggered, looking thoroughly drained. It seemed, the supremely ranked rare level, Yuan Dongji had the upper hand. Even with Lu Juanwu's biological level evolved to high-level second order, he was still outmatched by the higher-ranked Yuan Dongji. "Master, long time no see." Upon seeing the familiar face of Yuan Dongji, Shen Qinghan immediately flashed a sweet smile. Yuan Dongji smiled back at her, walking to the couch in front and sitting down, her voice warm, "Come, sit here with Master." "All right." Shen Qinghan obediently took a seat next to her. Yuan Dongji turned to Lin Zikan, "Ziai Chen, come sit here too, I have something important to talk to you and Qinghan about." Lin Zikan sat down next to Shen Qinghan and asked, "Is it something urgent?" Yuan Dongji didn't rush to respond, instead taking a sip of warm flower tea. After a while, she began slowly. "I met with my senior disciple Luo Qingxiu in Origin Land, and while catching up, I mentioned both of you. Guess what? She said your names sounded very familiar. My alien human level senior disciple, if there are no mistakes, she must be the new student from your elementary school, the little white-haired girl named Bai Xuet." "That Luo Qingxiu, could she really be Bai Xuet?" Lin Zikan and Shen Qinghan were both surprised. They had always felt Luo Qingxiu looked a lot like Bai Xuet, and it was very likely it was her. But, hearing it confirmed in this moment still made them feel surprised and incredulous, feeling that the world really was full of coincidences. "Master, does the senior sister only think my name and Lin Zi's sound familiar? Or does she not remember things from our childhood?" Shen Qinghan asked. Yuan Dongji said calmly, "She lost a lot of her memories, almost all about Bai Xuet are forgotten." "Ah, how could this be?" Shen Qinghan felt quite disheartened. The three of them used to play so well together, how could she forget everything? Yuan Dongji took another sip of flower tea, her voice slow, "Once you two go down to Origin Land, you could try talking to her in person, maybe just seeing you will bring everything back." After saying this, she put the teacup down, no longer discussing things about Luo Qingxiu. She shifted the topic immediately, saying, "While defending against the beast horde in the Origin Land, the situation was very severe, I nearly encountered mishaps multiple times. Hadn't it been for a mysterious Taoist robe woman suddenly appearing, using her own power to annihilate the horde, I probably wouldn't have been able to come back." Chapter 398, 233. Enter the Origin Land. Join the Alien Human Level Genius Squad, _2. I've heard that the mysterious Taoist robe woman is the Tianren Pavilion Lord, is that true? When Yuan Dongji spoke this last sentence, his gaze shifted toward Lu Juanwu. Lu Juanwu nodded, "It is true." Yuan Dongji was utterly puzzled, what exactly is going on here? "It's like this. Lu Chuanyu patiently began to explain to Yuan Dongji. First, he introduced the origins of Qi Qingmo. Then explained how she was resurrected. Finally, he introduced her personality, strength, and stance. The introduction wasn't comprehensive, just enough to give Yuan Dongji a rough understanding. There was no helping it. After all, Lu Chuanyu himself wasn't very familiar with Qi Qingmo. He only knew she was powerful and someone on their side. Beyond that, he didn't know much and couldn't be certain. After briefly introducing Qi Qingmo, Lu Chuanyu said to Yuan Dongji, actually, when it comes to understanding the Pavilion Lord, Ziai Chen and King Han should know more than me, because whenever the Pavilion Lord is on Earth, she basically lives with the two of them. Upon hearing this, Yuan Dongji immediately turned and asked the two, how much do you two know about the Tianren Pavilion Lord, and would it be convenient to share with me? Lin Zikin took a sip of floral tea and said, my understanding of the Pavilion Lord is pretty much the same as the Dean's, there's nothing else to add. Yuan Dongji, then this Tianren Pavilion Lord really is mysterious. Lu Chuanyu stroked his beard and remarked, it's normal. After all, powerful people are mysterious, it's not possible for them to tell us everything. As long as we know this strong person is one of us, that's enough, there's no need to know more. Yuan Dongji expressed acceptance, that's indeed true. After the conversation, she turned to Shen Qinghan and said, come with me to the academic office. I've exchanged for a daffodil fish gene for you to enslave in the origin land to further increase your spiritual strength. Thank you, Master. Shen Qinghan didn't know what else to say, so he could only express his thanks. Soon, both of them left the research institute and walked towards the administration building. Lin Zikin chose not to follow and stayed in the research institute to work on his acupoints. Both the heart aperture and brain aperture had already been opened. The next goal was the body aperture. Time flew by. In the blink of an eye. Half a month passed. The term ended. Lin Zikin welcomed his first college summer vacation. By this time, he had opened a total of 4 acupoints. 2 heart apertures. 1 brain aperture. 1 body aperture. Meanwhile, his biological level had evolved to high 6th order, just a step away from high order. After a rigorous test of strength, Lin Zikin felt that under certain circumstances, he should be able to rival a rare first-order powerhouse. His strength had made leaps and bounds compared to a short time ago. As for Shen Qinghan, who had been inseparable from Lin Zikin, he also opened 4 acupoints. 1 heart aperture. 2 brain apertures. 1 body aperture. His biological level had evolved to high 5th order. Closely following Lin Zikin's pace. Without falling too far behind. Strange, why hasn't the Pavilion Lord come back after so long? On the bed, Lin Zikin, while thrusting his waist and abdomen, frowned slightly and murmured. He worried that Qi Qingmo might have encountered trouble in the origin land, concerned that he might lose a significant figure of support. Below him, Shen Qinghan's forehead was covered in fine sweat, her voice trembling as she said. The Pavilion Lord is so strong, she must be okay. The Pavilion Lord must have found something in the origin land, a way to return to her peak, that's why she hasn't come out for so long. Maybe by the time we see the Pavilion Lord again, she will have already returned to her peak. In reality, Shen Qinghan was also anxious about the possibility of Qi Qingmo encountering trouble in the origin land, but seeing Lin Zikin so worried, she had to contain her own concerns and instead say positive things to comfort him. However, no matter how many reassurances she offered, Lin Zikin still remained worried. After they finished in bed, Lin Zikin picked up his phone from beside him and tapped on Yuan Dongji's WeChat avatar, reaching out to the well-connected Miss Yuan to see if she knew anything about the situation in the origin land. He contacted her for about half an hour. Yuan Dongji asked on his behalf in a group chat for strong individuals to see if anyone who had been to the origin land in the past few days had seen Qi Qingmo or heard any news about him. Then, he came up empty-handed. In response, Lin Zikin could only pray in his heart, hoping that Qi King Mo hadn't encountered any trouble in the origin land. Soon, a week passed by. On July 8, during the summer break, Shanghai University suddenly became bustling. It was the Tianren Pavilion recruiting new members. From the students who had entered Shanghai University this year, they sought to recruit a batch of geniuses with exceptional physical talents. In the past, the Tianren Pavilion's recruitment was always quiet, requiring Lu Chuanwu to leave the school and personally visit students door to door, begging them to join the Tianren Pavilion. But now everything had changed. With Lin Zikin as a living billboard, a large number of geniuses with exceptional physical talents came to Shanghai University on their own initiative, expressing their desire to join the Tianren Pavilion and follow the pure-blood human path. "Isn't Lin Shen here? Isn't Lin Shen around? I've traveled thousands of miles by plane just to catch a glimpse of Lin Shen, but to my disappointment, he's not here. This is too upsetting. What's the rush? Once you join the Tianren Pavilion, you'll have plenty of opportunities to meet Lin Shen in the future." In front of the Pure Human Research Institute, hundreds of geniuses with strong physical talents gathered in a bustling crowd. The Lin Shen they talked about referred to the representative figure of the pure-blood human path, Lin Zikin. Out of admiration for Lin Zikin, they had deified him. "Everyone quiet down and line up in sequence. Each line should have no more than 30 people. Once the lines are organized, we'll head to the gymnasium for the body strength test." Lu Chuanwu stood in front of the crowd and shouted loudly. At the sound of his voice, the geniuses promptly and orderly lined up, waiting to go to the gymnasium for the test. Seeing that the geniuses had lined up, Lu Chuanwu didn't want to delay everyone's time and quickly led them with several martial arts college teachers to the gymnasium for testing. Inside the research institute, Song Yuan stood by the window, looking down at the dense crowd of hundreds of geniuses, and couldn't help but ask Lin Zikin, who was sitting on the sofa behind her. "Ziai Chen, all these geniuses down there are your fanboys and fangirls, aren't you going to show your face?" "I think I'll pass on showing my face. Once they successfully join the Tianren Pavilion, there will be plenty of opportunities to meet in the future," Lin Zikin said indifferently while he was working on his acupoints. Song Yuan said with a hint of regret, "I see quite a few pretty girls down there. If I were you, I'd definitely go down to show my face." No sooner had she finished speaking, she added, "But with Han Han being so beautiful, I guess other girls wouldn't catch your eye." Lin Zikin simply smiled and didn't respond. Shen Qinghan was right there beside him. He didn't want to discuss such topics in front of her. Many people say that once a man has had his fill of a woman, his love for her will fade until he grows weary of her. Lin Zikin didn't feel that way at all. Regarding Shen Qinghan, his love only grew stronger the more time they spent together. Time flew by in an instant. It was evening before they knew it. Lin Zikin and Shen Qinghan were still refining their bodies, not wasting any minute or second that could be spent cultivating. "After a whole day's work, we've finally finished this year's recruitment. I'm exhausted." Lu Chuanwu came back from the gymnasium, complaining of tiredness, but his face was filled with a smile. Song Yuan approached and asked, "Principal, how many did we recruit?" "Guess." Lu Chuanwu replied with a gleeful smile. "Song Yuan, you think I'll guess?" Seeing that the single older woman wouldn't guess, Lu Chuanwu didn't play coy, laughing as he said, "You might not believe it, but we directly recruited 166 people." "That many?" Song Yuan was quite shocked. Lin Zikin and Shen Qinghan didn't show much reaction, their faces remained calm. Lu Chuanwu looked towards the two of them and said with a smile, "Lord Ye had initially set a goal of recruiting 100 people, and now I've directly recruited 166, successfully completing the task. You two will soon be able to enter the origin land." Finally, they could enter the origin land. Lin Zikin felt a flicker of excitement within. He had long anticipated the origin land and wanted to witness the world known as the high-end version of Earth. At the same time, he also wanted to see just how strong these so-called alien human-level geniuses were. I hope that the Pavilion Master, whom I haven't seen in a long time, isn't in trouble in the origin land but is too busy claiming territory and ruling to return, so he can continue to be my support, Lin Zikan silently hoped. P.S. Holding out my bowl, seeking monthly passes and recommendation votes. Chapter 399, 234. Dimensional Strike on Alien Human Level Genius. Origin Land, City Number 1. The 28 members of the Alien Human Level Genius Squad were all gathered in a large training room. Each one was panting heavily, their bodies drenched in sweat, faces etched with exhaustion. They had obviously just completed an intense training session. Standing in front of this group of alien human-level geniuses was a bald man with piercing eyes. The bald man was a high-order rare powerhouse in City Number 1, responsible for providing special training for the 28 members of the alien human-level squad to further enhance their strength. At the moment, the bald man looked around at the alien human-level geniuses before him and said in a booming voice, "Today's test results, for me, have been both surprising and disappointing. The surprise is that Kyungsu's progress has been so significant that it's staggering. Before joining the special training, she was ranked 13th in strength among this 28-person squad, barely making it to the middle tier. However, after just 1 month of special training, she has now moved up to 9th place in team strength and successfully entered the top 10. Keep in mind, she's only 19 years old now, and the oldest among you is already 29. In this squad of alien human-level geniuses, the youngest team leader to take office was 25 years old, and I have high hopes that she can break this record." The bald man had nothing but praise for Luo Kyungsu, placing great expectations on her. As they listened to the bald man's remarks, apart from Luo Kyungsu, the other 27 geniuses were filled with a sense of urgency and immense pressure. Each of them was a genius among geniuses. From childhood to adulthood, they were the otherworldly beings that their peers could only look up to but never reach. And yet, even such dazzling figures seemed somewhat pale in comparison to Luo Kyungsu at the moment. Truly, you don't know her until you compare. Ha, she isn't even human. What's the point of comparing us to her? It's meaningless. A female genius in her early 20s muttered under her breath. The bald man's eyebrows instantly furrowed upon hearing this. He turned to the female genius, his voice severely chastising, "Zhao Zixuan, what kind of talk is that? What do you mean there's no point in comparing yourself to an alien? Do you realize that Earth's greatest enemy has never been exotic beasts or exotic plants, but aliens? If we can't even match the aliens, how are we to contend with them? The reason the higher UPS are willing to provide you with so many rare evolution resources is precisely so that you can surpass the aliens. Zhao Zixuan, if you dare say such idiotic remarks again, I will request to reduce your evolution resources and allocate them to those who deserve them." Upon hearing the bald man's words, Zhao Zixuan immediately showed a nervous expression. "Instructor Lan, I was wrong. I won't speak like that ever again." Lan Tianbei didn't respond to Zhao Zixuan, but turned his head to Luo Kyungsu and said, "Kyungsu, keep it up and strive to become the youngest team leader in history." "MHM." Luo Kyungsu replied succinctly. She didn't like Lan Tianbei. Lan Tianbei often used her alien status to motivate the other members of the team, which made her, already unpopular with the others, even more disliked. As an instructor, Lan Tianbei was aware of Luo Kyungsu's disapproval of him. But he didn't care at all. His mission was to make these alien human-level geniuses stronger, not to be liked by them. Moreover, the higher UPS had accepted Luo Kyungsu, an alien, for the very purpose of spurring Earth's young geniuses into action, to have a barramundi effect. Zhao Zixuan, Yao Yiweng, He Shidao, Nangang Liuyun, Huang Xing, Qian Yifei, Bai Ji, you 7 stay behind for extra training. The rest of you may leave. Those who are due for out-of-city training should go for it and not waste time idly in the city. Lan Tianbei said to the myriad of geniuses before him. Upon hearing his words, except for the 7 who were called out to stay, everyone else headed out of the training room. Luo Qingxiu was the fastest to leave. She didn't want to stay a moment longer and preferred to be alone. As she walked, 2 young men from the team walked behind her, chatting as they went. Luo Qingxiu's evolution is too fast. Only a while ago, she had just reached the strength of a high-level 6th order, and now after just 1 month of special training, she has evolved to the strength of a high-level 7th order. It's terrifying. Tall young man Zhao Qingxian couldn't help but sincerely express his amazement as he watched Luo Qingxiu in front of him. The shorter young man Zhang Tao said calmly, "It is terrifying, but the 2 of us won't necessarily fall behind her, we have advantages that she doesn't possess." Zhao Qingxian nodded, "True, being Earthlings, our bodies have great tolerance and can undergo genetic fusion, whereas she, as an alien, cannot do that." Zhang Tao replied with composure, "Don't look at our current rate of progress as being slower than hers. Once our biological level evolves to the rare level, we will be able to fuse genes of exotic beasts of higher tiers, and our strength will skyrocket, easily leaving her behind." Zhao Qingxian agreed, "It's inevitable." The touted best duo of the team were thus conversing, each firmly believing that, having reached the great perfection of a high-order 9th level, they would not be outdone by Luo Qingxiu. Before long, except for the 7 left behind for additional training, all the others had left the training room. Lan Tianbei said to the 7 of them, "You 7 performed too poorly, training for an entire month with hardly any visible progress." Chapter 400, 234. Dimensionality Reduction Attack on Alien Human Level Genius _2. From today, you all must stay in the training room for extra practice. You can leave once you've met the standards. Do you understand? Understood, X7. The 7 almost said in unison. Lan Tianbei nodded, "That's good. Although the 7 of you have high evolutionary talents, your current strength is too weak to support you heading out of the city for solo training. You must realize that the exotic beasts outside won't wait for you to grow slowly, seeing that you're not strong, they will tear you apart on the spot. Until your strength has increased. All of you must earnestly put in extra training time in the training room. Talent that hasn't grown is not talent at all, do you understand?" Understood, X7. The 7 said again in unison. Lan Tianbei nodded in satisfaction once again, then said loudly, "In a month, I will test you again, I hope everyone can pass by then." Half a month later. Earth. Shanghai University. Pure Human Research Institute. Lin Zikin was sitting cross-legged on the rooftop of the institute, bathing in the breeze as he worked on his acupoints. In the past period, the diligent him had successfully opened 1 brain aperture and 1 body aperture. He had now opened a total of 6 acupoints. 2 each in the heart aperture, brain aperture, and body aperture. His biological level had hence evolved to high-level 6th order great perfection and would evolve to high-level 7th order before long. Over half an hour later, Lin Zikin finished working on his acupoints and decided to take a break. He pulled out his phone from his pocket, planning to refresh himself by checking the news to catch up on recent events. When he opened the news app, he just received a message on WeChat. He checked WeChat, discovering it was the secretary of the vice-governor Ye Yongsheng who had sent the message. The content briefly stated that the 2 of them now met the requirements and could enter the origin land to join the alien human-level genius team. At 8 a.m. on the 3rd day from now, a private plane would come to Shanghai University to take them to the capital city, and then through the biological channel into city number 1. "Lin Zi, what are you looking at?" Shen Qinghan, who had just finished working on her acupoints, noticed Lin Zikin looking at his phone and curiously leaned in to ask. Before Lin Zikin could answer, she read the content on the phone and couldn't help but exclaim in surprise. Ah! We're entering the origin land in 3 days. Why is it so sudden? For entering the origin land, she felt both excitement and nervousness. It is quite sudden. Linziken put away his phone and said lightly, after entering the origin land this time, who knows when we'll be able to return to Earth. In the next 3 days, let's go home and spend time with our parents. Shen King Han, let's spend good time with our parents. In the blink of an eye. 3 days went by. Under the reluctant eyes of their parents, Linziken and Shen King Han, each carrying a large backpack, hurried towards the administration building of the inner campus. The two were heading to the rooftop of the administration building to board the plane. The parents can't see us anymore, let's take down the backpacks and I'll put them in the storage space. When they reached a secluded corner, Linziken stopped and told Shen King Han. Shen King Han didn't take off her backpack but shook her head and said, "Let's not. I think it's better to carry it ourselves. Otherwise, others might ask why we aren't bringing anything and explaining might be troublesome." True. Linziken nodded in agreement, thinking that he had considered too little. Soon, they reached the rooftop of the administration building. Yuan Dongji, Lu Juanwu, and Song Yuan were all there, all to see them off. Ziai Chen, Han Han, you two must be careful in the origin land. Don't risk it for some evolution resources, it's not worth it. Song Yuan, assuming the role of an older sister, advised the two with concern. After she finished, Yuan Dongji also spoke up. Luo Kyungsu is somewhat reclusive now and basically doesn't interact with others. When you two meet her, try not to be too enthusiastic right away. Yes, I know, Master. Shen King Han nodded obediently. Lu Juanwu looked at Lin Ziken, reminding him, Ziken, once you get familiar inside the origin land, remember to inquire about the pavilion master's whereabouts and see what exactly the situation is there, and why he hasn't returned for so long. Rest assured, Director, I remember, Lin Ziken replied. In this world, he cared about Qi King Mo's situation more than anyone else. The sky-reaching Qi King Mo, whom he had finally managed to rely on, was his foster mother who often provided him with evolutionary resources. Once inside the origin land, he would, by all means, search for news of Qi King Mo. Soon after, a rumble echoed from the sky. The aircraft designated to take Lin Ziken and Shen King Han to capital city had arrived. It was a 10-seater helicopter. After briefly bidding farewell to Yuan Dongji and others, Lin Ziken and Shen King Han quickly boarded the helicopter, speeding off to capital city thousands of miles away. On the way, Lin Ziken asked Ye Yongshen's secretary, Secretary Zhang, isn't Lord Ye here? Secretary Zhang said calmly, the province lord is always busy, and most of the time, he is not available. The last time you met him, it just happened to be when he was free, which is a rare occurrence every 10 years. I see. Lin Ziken nodded and did not inquire further. In less than half an hour, the helicopter had transported Lin Ziken and Shen King Han to capital city. The speed was unbelievably fast. The helicopter landed directly at the military zone of Biological Passageway No. 1, and Lin Ziken and Shen King Han were immediately led to the entrance. The journey was tightly scheduled without unnecessary delays. At the entrance, the leading person turned back, handed over a simplified manual to Lin Ziken and Shen King Han, and asked both of them to carefully go through the precautions inside. Lin Ziken took the manual, glanced through it quickly, and memorized the contents by heart. None of it was new. It mainly discussed the domain power rejection inside the origin land, dizzy and nauseous feelings for first-timers, which would wear off after a few days of adaptation. Beyond that, it covered some rules that needed to be followed inside the city of the origin land and how to adapt to life there. After all, the environment in the origin land differed significantly from Earth. In the origin land, many chemical and physical reactions could not occur, meaning it was essentially a primitive environment devoid of any technological devices. For geniuses like Lin Zikan and Shen Qinghan, who had grown up on Earth, adapting completely to this environment would not be easy. For two individuals like you, who entered the alien human level genius list as adults, it's my first time seeing such a case despite having guarded biological passageway number 1 for many years. A guard at the entryway commented with a smile. Normally, those capable of entering the alien human level genius list would have shown their talents early in childhood and been brought up in the origin land accordingly. Entering as adults seemed unreasonable and incredibly surprising. After all, the growth of evolutionary talents usually followed a traceable pattern, and sudden outstanding performance after adulthood was rare. Is that so? Lin Zikan casually responded, not engaging further with the guard. After speaking, he closed the handbook and said to the gate in front of him, "Hello, we have finished reading the manual. Can we enter the origin land now?" "Of course, you can." The gatekeeper smiled as he opened the biological passageway behind him. "The future of Earthlings rests on you. I hope you can evolve into legendary level experts swiftly and become the pillars of Earth." "Definitely," Lin Zikan stated calmly. Subsequently, he and Shen Qinghan moved toward the portal, aiming to enter the origin land. During this time, Shen Qinghan grasped Lin Zikan's hand tightly, filled with nervousness, anxiety, and fear of the unknown awaiting them in the origin land. Lin Zikan felt her unease and gently massaged her palm to help her calm down. The gatekeeper smiled as he opened the biological passageway behind him. "The future of Earthlings rests on you. I hope you can evolve into legendary level experts swiftly and become the pillars of Earth." "Definitely," Lin Zikan stated calmly. Subsequently, he and Shen Qinghan moved toward the portal, aiming to enter the origin land. During this time, Shen Qinghan grasped Lin Zikan's hand tightly, filled with nervousness, anxiety, and fear of the unknown awaiting them in the origin land. Lin Zikan. P.S. Placing my bowl out, seeking monthly and recommendation tickets.